In the late 20th century, a number of major governance failures reshaped how governments around the world manage public institutions. From corruption scandals in municipal administrations to systemic failures in state-owned enterprises, the consequences were profound. Public funds were misused, oversight structures proved weak, and trust between citizens and governments eroded. One of the most striking examples occurred in the early 1990s when governance failures in several national infrastructure projects revealed deep structural weaknesses in public administration. Oversight mechanisms were fragmented, accountability was unclear, and political influence often overshadowed institutional safeguards. These events sparked a global conversation about how governments should be structured, monitored, and held accountable. The answer to that question lies in the discipline known as public sector governance. Public sector governance examines how governments design institutions, distribute authority, monitor performance, and ensure that public resources serve the interests of society. Today, we explore public sector governance, what it is, how it evolved, how it differs across countries, and why it remains one of the most important frameworks shaping modern societies. Public sector governance refers to the systems, structures, and processes through which public institutions are directed, controlled, and held accountable. At its core, governance in the public sector is concerned with three fundamental questions. Who makes decisions? How are those decisions monitored? Who is accountable for the outcomes? Unlike private sector governance, which focuses primarily on shareholder value and corporate performance, public sector governance must balance a broader set of objectives: democratic accountability, transparency, public service delivery, ethical conduct, fiscal responsibility. A key distinction must be made between governance and management. Governance determines direction and oversight, while management focuses on execution and administration. Similarly, governance differs from policymaking. Policy determines what governments aim to achieve, whereas governance determines how institutions ensure those goals are pursued responsibly and effectively. Scholars often frame public sector governance through several theoretical lenses. Agency theory, for example, examines how public officials act as agents on behalf of citizens. Stakeholder theory broadens the concept, recognizing that governments must serve multiple groups, including taxpayers, communities, and future generations. Together, these frameworks help explain why governance structures must balance authority, accountability, and transparency. Public sector governance did not emerge overnight. It evolved gradually alongside the development of modern states. In early governments, authority was highly centralized. Kings, emperors, and ruling elites exercised control with minimal institutional oversight. Administrative systems existed, but they were often designed primarily to collect taxes, maintain order, and enforce political authority. The Industrial Revolution fundamentally changed this dynamic. As societies industrialized, governments began to oversee larger economies, growing populations, and increasingly complex infrastructure. New public institutions emerged: regulatory agencies, national audit bodies, civil service systems. During the 20th century, the expansion of welfare states further increased the scale of public administration. Governments became responsible for healthcare systems, social security programs, education networks, and large infrastructure investments. With this expansion came new governance challenges. Several major financial crises and corruption scandals in the late 20th and early 21st centuries triggered widespread reforms. Many governments introduced independent audit institutions, freedom of information laws, anti-corruption agencies, public accountability frameworks. International organizations such as the OECD, World Bank, and IMF also began promoting governance standards to improve transparency and institutional resilience. Today, public sector governance continues to evolve in response to globalization, digital transformation, and rising expectations for transparency. At a structural level, public sector governance relies on several interconnected components. Institutional leadership. At the highest level, governance is shaped by political leadership and legislative institutions. Parliaments or congresses establish laws, approve budgets, and oversee executive actions. Executive oversight. The executive branch, including ministries and public agencies, is responsible for implementing policies and delivering public services. Governance frameworks define how these institutions operate and how they report their activities. Accountability. Institutions. Independent oversight bodies play a critical role in public governance. These often include supreme audit institutions, anti-corruption agencies, ombudsman offices, ethics commissions. These institutions ensure that government actions remain transparent and compliant with established rules. Internal controls. Within public organizations, internal control systems help ensure responsible use of public resources. These may include financial management systems, risk management frameworks, procurement controls, compliance monitoring, oversight cycles. Public sector governance also relies on cyclical oversight processes such as budget reviews, parliamentary hearings, external audits, performance evaluations. Together, these components form the structural architecture of accountability in government. Public sector governance varies significantly across different regions of the world. In Anglo-American governance systems, such as those found in the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and Australia, public governance typically emphasizes strong parliamentary oversight and independent regulatory bodies. Transparency mechanisms, such as freedom of information laws, play a central role. In continental European systems, governance often incorporates more structured administrative frameworks. Some countries operate with detailed legal frameworks that define institutional responsibilities with high precision. In state-influenced governance systems, governments maintain closer relationships with state-owned enterprises and strategic industries. Oversight mechanisms may combine administrative supervision with market-based governance tools. Emerging markets often face unique governance challenges, including institutional capacity constraints and evolving regulatory environments. International institutions frequently support governance reforms in these regions through technical assistance and policy frameworks. At the supranational level, organizations such as the European Union introduce additional layers of governance. Member states must align national institutions with shared regulatory standards and oversight mechanisms. This creates a complex but increasingly interconnected governance landscape. Public sector governance systems are often strengthened in response to failures. Throughout history, major governance breakdowns have revealed weaknesses in institutional oversight. Examples include mismanagement of public funds, procurement corruption, regulatory capture, weak oversight of state-owned enterprises. When such failures occur, public trust can decline rapidly. Governments frequently respond by introducing governance reforms. These reforms may include strengthening audit institutions, enhancing transparency requirements, implementing ethics regulations, creating independent oversight bodies. In many cases, governance crises lead to structural reforms designed to restore accountability and improve institutional resilience. The evolution of governance frameworks demonstrates that governance is not static. It adapts to new risks, expectations, and societal demands. In the modern era, public sector governance faces a new generation of challenges. Digital transformation has fundamentally changed how governments operate. Public institutions now manage vast amounts of data, digital infrastructure, and online service delivery platforms. This raises critical governance questions around data protection, cybersecurity, digital transparency, algorithmic accountability, environmental, social, and governance considerations. Often referred to as ESG frameworks, are also influencing public governance systems. Governments are increasingly expected to demonstrate responsible stewardship of environmental resources and long-term societal outcomes. Another emerging challenge is cross-border governance complexity. Global supply chains, international financial systems, and multinational institutions require governments to coordinate governance mechanisms across jurisdictions. These developments are reshaping how public sector governance is designed and implemented. Looking ahead, public sector governance may evolve in several important ways. technological innovation is likely to play a major role. Artificial intelligence and advanced analytics may enable governments to monitor public programs in real time, improving transparency and performance oversight. Automation could streamline compliance monitoring and risk detection. There's also growing interest in open governance, where citizens gain greater visibility into government operations through digital platforms. At the same time, international cooperation may increase as governments seek to harmonize governance standards across borders. However, governance systems must also balance innovation with institutional stability. As societies become more complex, the need for strong, adaptable governance frameworks will only continue to grow. Governance is often discussed in terms of rules, procedures, and institutional structures. But at its core, governance represents something deeper. It is the architecture of accountability. Public sector governance determines how authority is exercised, how public resources are managed, and how institutions remain accountable to the societies they serve. Throughout history, governance frameworks have evolved in response to crisis, complexity, and changing expectations. From early administrative systems to modern regulatory structures, the central objective remains the same: ensuring that public institutions operate transparently, responsibly, and in the interest of the public. As governments continue to face new challenges, technological, economic, and societal, governance will remain a critical discipline shaping the stability and effectiveness of institutions worldwide. Understanding public sector governance allows us to better observe, evaluate, and strengthen the institutions that shape our collective future.